Hello guys, welcome to yet another episode of Instructive Chess Games. In today's episode, we'll be looking at a positional masterclass of Evgeny Tomashevsky. Evgeny Tomashevsky is one of the strong positional chess players in the top level chess, and he was playing with the white pieces against Lomasev, an upcoming Russian chess talent. This game was played in the Nutcracker Classical Chess Tournament, a tournament which is organized in Russia between strong experienced players versus upcoming Russian talents, which is a great platform for the young Russian talents to perform and learn against the experienced chess players uh, of Russia and even chess players and even experienced chess players around the world. Before we start studying this game, let me quickly remind you that a complete detailed analysis with comments of this game, which we are just going to see, is already published on my blog on my website. The link to the article is given in the description box below. The game started with d4, e6, c4, bishop d4 check, bishop d2, queen e7, knight f3, knight f6. So with a slightly different move order, the game transposed to the Bogo-Indian defense, which is considered one of the solid response to solid openings against d4. White goes for knight c3. This is slightly unusual and some sort of a rare line if you compare it to the main line, which is of course g3. White fenchers the bishop to g2 and then castles and basically gets a solid position with slightly better chances with some slight pressure. And of course, yeah, this is the main line. Most of the games are played with g3. Here in this game, Tomashevsky played knight c3. He basically wants to develop his bishop with e3 and bishop to d3 instead of fenchering it with g3 bishop g2. So after knight c3, black goes for b6, e3 and bishop into c3. Again, not really necessary to capture on c3 immediately, but Lomaso went for bishop c3. Bishop into c3, bishop knight e4 first, rook c1. So of course, white doesn't want to ruin his pawn structure after knight into c3, b into c3. So if now black takes on c3, white is ready to capture back with the rook without ruining the pawn structure. Black goes for bishop b7, bishop d3, castle, castle. So both sides have completed their development, but in fact white is slightly ahead because black still needs to develop the knight on b8. Knight into c3. So after castle, white was some sort of planning to move the bishop back to e1 so that he will maintain the double bishops in this position and try to utilize it in the middle game. But before black is able to retreat his bishop, before white is able to retreat his bishop, black immediately captures on c3, goes for this exchange, rook into c3 and now d6. So this is a typical Bogo-Indian structure. Black's plan is quite simple, to play knight d7 and e5 and then try to get in e4 if possible or even f5, and he can also create some sort of a play on the king side. So seeing this, black played a very nice move in this position. Again, a typical Bogo-Indian move, a very desirable move for white. I would like to urge the viewers to pause the video for a while here and try to guess white's next move. I hope that the viewers found the correct move, a very strong positional move, c5. Yes, c5 is the best move in this position. First of all, white stops black's idea of playing knight d7 because now knight d7 will be met with c6 and white wins the piece. White wins a piece on the spot. And c5 in general is a very desirable move for white in this structure because it gives white the opportunity to open the c file, and as you can see the rook is already placed on c3 on the open c file, which can be used to put pressure on the c file and try to gain some initiative on the queen side. So c5 is a very nice move by Tomaszewski, and from here on you will see how Tomaszewski slowly increases the pressure on black and exploits his leading development and a slightly more space which he has in this position. So after c5, seeing that black cannot develop the knight to d7 comfortably, first he goes for g6. So g6 is some sort of a prophylactic move again, basically uh, ruling out any sorts of attack on the h7 pawn after white plays queen to c2. So now after g6 there will be no attack on the h7 pawn, and also in the future there will be no backrank problems for the king, as the king has a safe spot on g7. White as planned opens the c file with c into d6, c into d6, and now knight to d2. The knight wasn't doing much on f3 anyways, and black decides to retreat it and tries to reposition it to a much better square. Also, it looks quite natural to play the queen to c2 in this position, trying to exert more pressure on the c file and threatening rook c7. But black can in fact simply develop here his knight to d7, and rook c7 is comfortably met with rook f8, pinning the rook, and black is planning to play queen d8 next, when white will be somehow forced to exchange his rooks on the c file, which will simply neutralize and black will simply be able to neutralize the pressure on the c file, and black will achieve an equality. So queen c2, even though it is very logical and natural to play the queen to c2 and try to bring in another rook to the c file, is not that strong, as black is able to simply develop his knight to d7. So seeing this, white goes knight to d2, and also white has another plans to develop his queen, not on c2 but on a much better square. So after knight d2, now if black goes for knight d7, then white has the strong rook c7, pinning this d7 knight and also threatening the bishop. This rook is very strong on the 7th rank, creating a lot of problems for black. Black should play rook a b8, and now queen to a4, again developing with a tempo, threatening to win the a7 pawn and also threatening the d7 knight at the same time. Knight c5 is the only way by which black can release the pressure which is increasing on him. So knight c5, white can simply take the queen, rook into e7, knight into a4, and now he can simply play knight c4, defending his b2 pawn and also threatening the pawn on d6. And if black plays the pawn to d5, white can even enter with the knight to d6, for example d5 knight d6, and this bishop is under threat. And if the bishop moves, then white is ready to grab the a7 pawn as well. So this combination of the knight on the 6th rank and the rook on 7th rank will be extremely uncomfortable for black. So white is simply having a winning advantage in this endgame. So knight e7 is not possible now for black, and black goes for knight to a6. He chooses another way to develop the knight, but as we see, the advantage of not moving the queen on d1 immediately in the previous move, now white goes for queen to a4. So with the queen on a4, white develops with the queen, white activates the queen with a tempo, threatening bishop into a6, and at the same time prepares to play rook f7, increasing his firepower on the c file. Black of course goes for knight c7, and now if we play rook c1, then black has knight to d5, disturbing our rook, attacking our rook and creating some sort of a disturbance on the c file. So before playing rook f7, white takes care that the black's knight doesn't get on an active square in the center, and he plays e4. So another nice positional move, playing against opponent's pieces, playing against the black knight on c7. Also it is important to note that white not just plays against this knight on c7 by covering the d5 square, but after playing e4, white is also playing against the bishop on b7, as now the scope of the bishop on b7 is very limited. Black plays rook f8, at some point he has to bring his rook on the c file to challenge white's superiority on the c file. White of course plays rook f c1. Black plays a waiting move king g7, improving the position of his king slightly, and white plays another nice move knight f1. So again, as you can see, white is on each and every move trying to improve the position of his pieces, and at the same time restrict black's activity. For example, he played e4 and restricted both the bishop on b7 and knight on c7, and now after restricting opponent's activity, he is improving his pieces. So knight wants to go to e3, which will be more actively placed if you compare it to its position on d2. Black goes knight to e8, knight e3 as planned, knight f6, threatening the pawn on e4, and white simply plays f3, protecting it. And now you can see that the shield which is created by the f3 and e4 pawns are really dominating the bishop on b7, completely restricting it, and the bishop is simply hitting the wall on e4. So it's very limited in its mobility. So after f3, black goes d5, trying to fix the pawn structure on in the center, and hoping to create new paths for his pieces. White of course keeps the position closed with e5, and after this, after the pawn on d4 and e5 and black's pawn on e6 and d5, black will have more and more problems for his bishop on b7 to create some sort of an activity for his bishop on b7. So after e5, black goes knight to g8, f4, getting more space on the king side. Yeah, it's important to point out that knight g8 is slightly unusual retreat. We might expect the knight to go back to d7 or maybe to e8 even, but with knight to g8, black is hoping to play queen d8 at some point and try to bring the knight to e7 back into the game. But we'll see, Tomaszewski doesn't really allow that. With f4, in fact, white is not just gaining space on the king side, but also playing against this plan of black's of getting the knight back into the game. So black now plays rook into c3, trying to exchange one rook, and later on he will try to bring another rook on the c file and exchange both the rooks, and the more he exchanges pieces, the better it is for him, as he will be able to neutralize white's pressure. White of course captures with the rook, maintaining the pressure on the c file. Black now plays queen d8, intending to play knight to e7, and here Tomaszewski plays a brilliant move, which kind of you can call it a prophylactic move again, not allowing the knight to develop to e7, and also a very aggressive move. So this is a very important quality which Tomaszewski reflects in this game. He was playing positionally up till this point, increasing the pressure on his opponent slowly, but right now, when the moment really required, when the position really required to be aggressive, he plays the most aggressive and initiative seizing move. So I would like the viewers to pause the video for a while and try to guess the brilliant move played by Tomaszewski right now. I hope that the viewers guess the correct move, which is f5, a very strong attacking move. Of course, now black cannot really play knight e7, as f6 check simply wins a piece for white. So black has to accept the challenge and accept the pawn sacrifice which Tomaszewski just gave. So e into f5 is what black played in the game, and now Tomaszewski goes for bishop f5. Of course, this is the point of playing f5. White is ready to sacrifice his bishop in return that after gf5, white gets his knight on f5, and the knight will try to create a lot of threats, as we will see. In fact, the knight is the winner. Knight scores the point for white in this game. So after gf5, of course, black has to accept this bishop sacrifice again, because if he doesn't accept, anyways his position is close to lost. Suppose if black doesn't really take on f5, he can try to continue his plan with knight to e7, but white has a strong move queen d7 here. The point is that now white is ready to exchange pieces, as after queen into d7, bishop into d7, his bishop on d7 is comfortably controlling the c8 square, thus preventing the black's rook from challenging the white rook on the c file. And white is now ready to penetrate on c7 with rook c7 next move, where the rook will be extremely strong unchallenged. So this position is just winning. This endgame is just winning for white. So seeing this, black accepts the challenge and tries to save his game in the complications, maybe hoping to trick white somewhere in the complications. So after bishop into f5, black accepts the challenge and takes the bishop. Knight takes f5, king h8, hiding in the corner, hoping to save the game there. But there is no safe square for the black king with white's pieces being so active. White goes knight d6, double attacking the bishop on b7 as well as the pawn on f7. Black goes queen e7, defending both at the same time. And now another beautiful strong move by Tomaszewski. He plays queen to c2. The threat is now to play rook c7, penetrating on the 7th rank, creating threat for the bishop on b7 as well as the queen on e7. Black plays rook d8 with the idea that if white plays rook c7, he will have rook d7 and basically trying to interfere the rook in between and defending himself from the material losses. But Tomaszewski had some other plans, some other idea in his mind. This is the last finesse of this game where Tomaszewski shows his class. So I would like the viewers to pause the video again and find this beautiful winning move. I hope that the viewers again found the correct move, and the correct move here is take on b7 with knight into b7. Yes, it looks kind of counterintuitive to exchange our beautifully active knight on d6 for the sleeping bishop on b7, but chess is so concrete sometimes that we have to think out of the box and guess such moves. So after take such moves into consideration. So after knight into b7, black is of course forced to take on b7 and now rook c7. Now you see the point that if black moves his queen, white is ready to take on f7 with rook f7, and after that there is simply no defense against the pawn on h7. Now if black moves the queen from b7 to a8 or b8, white can just take on f7 and there is no defense against the mating threat of queen into h7. So I hope you like this game, which was some sort of a mixture of positional masterclass of Tomaszewski and his aggressive attacking moves, which we saw with f4 and f5, and a very beautiful sacrifice in the end, followed by a very nice follow-up, a nice finishing touch to this really instructive game by Tomaszewski. I hope you all enjoyed this game, and do subscribe to my channel as I upload regular content, regular instructive chess games from which you can learn a lot. See you again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.